Welcome to Shore Perspectives, a community feature of WESR Radio, highlighting the spirit of the shore from those who call it home.
Tommy O'Connor in beautiful Capeville, Virginia. I started a decoy collectors club about 35 years ago down at Sunset Beach Inn, but the women complained there was nothing to do. We had no restaurants, no shops at that time. And there, Cape Charles has turned into a happening place, and we decided that it's time to have a decoy-related show, and the Oyster Farm asked me to help put it together, and after 8 months, we've got quite a turnout. We've got some of the best carvers, best dealers, the best auction galleries. We have people who make boats, flat artwork. It's probably the nicest group of decoy-related people get together in years. So the weather is cool, but it's clear. So very thankful. A little something for everybody.
Now I understand you're not a carver, but you are a collector.
I've been doing it for 50 some years, and I just love decoys, and I used to love the duck hunt. I've given that up, but I still collecting decoys. I've bought several today and several yesterday. I think it's history. I mean, they were made in the beginning for people to hunt with, whether they were killing to feed their family or going to market in the big cities. And then they started putting some fancy ones to put on the mantle, and the way things have evolved. Most every home has a shorebird or a duck decoy in the den or living room. We even have a young man, 8 years old, that is carving. He's already sold one of his birds. And it's, like I say, I think people are impressed with what they're seeing. All I did was get them together. The rest is up to them.
Logan Parker.
And what's your name?
Logan Parker.
Well, I started 9 years ago. I'm 19 now. And I guess what started it was a trip to the Ward Museum. And I just picked it up after that. And helped out. My dad was a carpenter, so he had, could get tools and wood and whatnot. Yeah.
So what's your inspiration now? Do you do working decoys or decorative?
Working decoys. You gotta make sure they all float right and everything, self-right, and throw them out in the water. I love carving, making birds and stuff.
And are you a hunter too?
Yeah, use all my own decoys. Yeah.
Logan Parker.
And how old are you?
8.
And how long have you been carving?
I guess like last year.
What got you started carving?
Paul was doing it, and then I said I want to. Yep. Then I started using his crafts.
So how many carvings have you done so far?
I don't know.
A bunch.
I guess.
And how does it feel being a carver?
Good.
Is it something you think you'll keep on doing?
Yep.
Keep making decoys, keep carving, keep doing whatever,
Buck Daddy, Albert Kelley Daddy Jr., but everybody calls me Buck here. Live in Eastville now, but born and raised in Willis Wharf. All up and down the seaside, Northampton County, never out of it. Carving, he'd kind of messing around with friends and just carving little wooden knots and trying to do a little bit of bird carving stuff. I've been messing around with that since the early 90s. A friend of mine, a lot of my friends are carvers. They'd whip out a bird or something and go sell it to somebody, one of their buyers, and $40 or $50, and then we'd have some gas money and some beer money, go have fun. It was a nice life. I always kept a steady job down in Bayshore, but they were freer. They got to enjoy their artwork, and they challenge one another to good ideas. I always loved the culture of it. It's in my blood. It's my great grandfather was a carver on Hog Island, Eli Daddy, and several of them. George William Daddy, he was a hunting guide to. Both of them were for Grover Cleveland and some different big dignitaries that would come down here to Hog Island and stay at our hotels. My grandfathers were a big part of carrying them out and showing the gun routes and stuff and what to do.
So you're kind of carrying on a family tradition.
Yeah, kind of haphazardly. I tripped into the metal sculptures. I had a degree in the community college, and I went over and worked at Bayshore for a long time in the welding department. And Daddy actually kind of spurred me on to do this metal sculpture. He needed to fill the floor up with some three-dimensional art. He had a lot of flat artists in his gallery at the time, and he said, make some some sculptures and bring them down. I'll price them for you and sell them for you.
I like how you put it that you kind of haphazardly fell into this. Sometimes life takes you in a different direction.
I'm eclectic that way. I do a little bit of everything. The welding gave me the freedom to do things that I couldn't do. It gave you access to things that you couldn't do if you didn't have those skills. Because with the fire company, I've been a chief engineer for the last few years there, and helping fix the trucks and all that kind of helps out. And to have all that history of mechanic work and everything in place. I was a junkyard dog when I was young. I went and worked. I call him Uncle Bird. He's a distant relative of mine. But I worked down there pulling parts and learned how to rip a car apart. It really comes in handy for like education and stuff. So, but that also comes in handy for making artwork. When I go in there and tear a piece of metal apart, I can kind of make it do what I want it to do. I work it a little bit more like wood, but I can actually add back in if I make mistakes or whatever. You can always take that texture and put things over. It's just a whole field that I was able to conquer. And it gives me a nice edge on my artwork. It gives me a freedom with it. Don't hesitate. Just try something. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece first try. A lot of my pieces that didn't make it, I wasn't too happy with. I cut them up and made something else out of it. Everything that you do and you put your hands on becomes something. And I mean, just trust in that. Just make sure that you don't sit idle. Being up in your head is like building a demon that you can't freaking control after a while. When you get your hands busy, your mind shuts off. It just lets things happen. I feel that way. If I'm out there and I can't find what I want to get into and I'm too scatterbrained and everything, just grab a tool and work on one thing, and you'll feel that coming together. Then you get into it. You gotta let the idea grow with your hand.
For Shore Perspectives and WESR Radio, I'm Kelley Gaskell.